Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Georgia. I hope you're well. Welcome to our 66 books reading sort of like wrap up and vlog. If you've never heard of 66 books, it's basically a giant book warehouse down in Hemel Hempstead. And this warehouse is open to the public for 2 weekends every month, and they have 70% off the retail price of books. It's an absolute bargain, and it's an opportunity that I do not pass up. I go once a year, always around my birthday. I've been for the past 3 years now. So here are my tips and tricks for when you go, and also my haul for this year. So I got £152.90 worth of books for £47.87. Like, is that not insane? I just think that's such a bargain, which is why I don't pass it up. It's such a good way to sort of like bump up your TBR, get some new books on there, things like that, and I just absolutely love it. I definitely recommend giving it a go. So before we jump straight into what I actually bought this year, I wanted to just sort of go through my tips and tricks and the things I recommend and the things that I think you should do before sort of like planning for your trip, things like that. I have been 3 years in a row now, so I do feel like I've got some pretty good tips and tricks at this point. So like I say, it is only open for 2 weekends every month, so definitely check your dates. I'll pop a little picture on here that I've got off of their Facebook page, which has the dates that they're open. If you try and go midweek, they won't let you in. It is a functioning working warehouse for the rest of the time. But with that said, on those 2 weekends that they are open, get there for opening. If they open at 8, be there, be parked up, be ready and waiting. If not, you can be queuing for ages. I live just under 3 hours away from Hemel Hempstead, and we left for about 5:15. We were up and ready, picked James's mum up, and off we went. We got there for 7:45, got one of the last parking spaces, and if you don't get in their car park and you can't get like on street parking, you'll literally be walking a mile to the nearest car park. Like, it is a trek if you can't get in their car park. And we got one of the last few spaces, and then we got straight in the queue, and we were still waiting outside for about 50 minutes. Luckily, the weather was actually so nice on the weekend that we went. As much as it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, it was already really warm and sunny, so we got quite lucky with that. It was actually forecast to be chucking it down, so I was kind of dreading it, but we got really lucky. It was glorious weather. We really stood outside for about 50 minutes. Once you get in, you go straight upstairs, and it is literally 2 floors of books, 5 or 6 shelves high, either side of you, teeny narrow little like walkways in between each aisle, and it is just, there are thousands of books there. And when I say thousands, like, I mean thousands. It does say there that if you walk every single aisle, you'll be walking 5 miles. It's insane. I recommend walking every aisle. It's not like the most organised, I'll be so honest, but they've got like kids books, they've got cookbooks, they've got fantasy, they've got romance, they've got biographies, autobiographies, everything. They've literally got colouring books. They've got a few like puzzles and jigsaws and kids toys and things like that, but it is just, it's huge. Like I say, it is 70% off everything. We got there for 8, got in for about 10 to 9, and then we were on our way home by 11. It does take a few hours to get around everything. I've never had this issue before, but this year they were having issues with their systems and were saying that if you've got cash you'll be fine, but they couldn't get on like the internet and the website properly to check memberships, and the card machines kept dropping out and things like that. We were quite lucky in that we had some cash on us anyway, but on top of that the card machine did actually work for me, but then they went down after that. So if you can take cash, I would take cash just in case. Take something that's comfy to carry them in. They do supply sort of like baskets, but obviously books do get heavy. Like, once you've got sort of 3 or 4 books in your basket, they are uncomfortable and they are heavy, and you've still got 5 miles worth of walking to do. Like, take something comfortable, either like a rucksack. They ask you not to bring like suitcases, but if you can bring one of those little pull trolley things, or like the square box ones, take something like that. Especially if it's your first go and you know you're going to be buying a lot of books, I recommend doing something like that. Emma took a rucksack and I took 2 tote bags, and that was like my limit. If my 2 tote bags were full, I weren't allowed to buy any more books. So I definitely recommend taking something that's comfortable to carry around, just because the baskets are awful. And also just really chunky, so if you like passing somebody that also has a basket, it becomes a bit of a wiggle through. So I definitely recommend taking something comfy. But yeah, definitely walk every single aisle. There's not really sections, so there's not like a fantasy bit, a romance bit. It is just sort of scattered everywhere. I would say mainly the fiction stuff is upstairs, and downstairs is more sort of like your cookbooks and things, but there are definitely still some fantasy randomly thrown in downstairs. So like, definitely walk every single aisle or you will miss something. And just to let you know that they don't tend to have like the newest books, so everything tends to be about 6 months out at least. They don't have the newest releases. They also don't have a lot of like the really big ones, like they don't have ACOTAR and Throne of Glass, but they've got a lot of other really amazing books. I've got a playlist already with all of my 66 book hauls if you want to go back and watch them, but these are the ones I got this time. They do have some big books, but just not really your most recent releases. So this year, like I say, I got 14 books, and it was supposed to be £152.90, and I bought them for £47.87. So a massive savings. You also pay a £2 membership fee, and that covers your household for the year. If you've got any questions or anything about 66 books as well, do leave them in the comments. Let's go through the books I bought this year then. I'm like waffling so much I can't breathe. Hydration break. There are 3 books in this haul that I already own, and that's because I just wanted editions that matches the rest. So this year they had all of Abby Jimenez's books there, and I mean all of them, even her newest release they had there, which is like really shocked me. So I repurchased 2 of mine because I have all of Abby Jimenez's books that are like this font, apart from 2. So I did end up repurchasing the Happy Ever After playlist, so that I've got the matching font, and I did also end up repurchasing Pot Your World by Abby Jimenez as well, again, just so that they're all in the fonts that match. So now all of my Abby Jimenez books are in this sort of like font and format, and it tickles my brain. It tickles my brain. So now I have the entire set in the same edition, which just makes me extremely happy. So both of these books were costing me between £3 and £4, which is just an absolute steal. And then talking of repurchases, I have actually also repurchased I call it This Cruel and Lovely by Stacey Stark, because I already had this, but they had the entire series there. So this is the entire Kingdom of Lies series by Stacey Stark, but I knew that my copy wasn't the shiny copy. I knew that I had the matte one, which I do actually prefer, but I wanted the whole series, so I just sacrificed my nice matte cover for the shiny cover, which is fine. And now I have the full series, which I am so excited to get into. I've heard the most amazing things about this. I feel like this series isn't one that's talked about a lot. I've not heard a lot of people talking about it, but the people I have heard speaking about this series have been like really raving about it and said that it's so bingeable and you just get so sucked in and so lost. So we've got A Court This Cruel and Lovely, A Kingdom This Cursed and Empty, A Crown This Cold and Heavy, and A Queen This Fierce and Deadly. So I am so excited to jump into these ones. Like I say, I've heard amazing things, and like reading the back, it just sounds like so much fun. I don't know, I've not picked it up yet. Like I say, book 1 was a repurchase, but now I've got the whole series in the same sort of format and edition and aesthetics. All of these books retail for £10, so you're paying literally £3 a book, so you're getting the entire series for 12 quid. It's a no-brainer, just get it. And do you know what? The Kingdom of Lies series was actually the only fantasy series I picked up whilst I was there. A lot of the fantasy series that I had are ones that I've picked up in previous years, so I didn't really need to purchase much in terms of like fantasy. That, and I do think at the minute I'm in such like a romance mood anyway that like I just weren't really drawn to the fantasy ones very much. We now have just a stack of romance, so let's just go through these. The next book I picked up was Branded by Saffron A. Kent. Now this is a book that I'd only seen like 3 days prior to going to 60s books. I've not heard anything about it until just before I went, so it was still sort of fresh in my mind. So when I was walking the shelves and saw this book, I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna have to get it. I'm gonna have to give that a go. So this is sort of like a dark romance, I believe. It's sort of country, and it's like a pen pal situation. So our main male character at the beginning of this book is in prison, and there's sort of like this pen pal scheme there. And our main female character ends up chatting with our main male character, and they are sending these letters backwards and forwards. She's pretending to be someone she's not because she's never gonna meet this guy, and then he shows up at her door. I mean, I love a book with letters and stuff anyway, and like just flicking through it, there's definitely like full on letters in this that I am so excited for. Like yours truly, it's got letters in it, the flat share, posters, any sort of like written communication, I am so down for. So we've got country romance, always a yes. We've got written forms of communication, always a yes. I am so excited to try this one. I think it's going to be so interesting. So we basically just have him showing up at her door, and she's not who she's been like making out to be in these letters, and I'm just so intrigued. I cannot wait to give this one a go. I do think I'm going to read this relatively soon because it just sounds like so much fun. One author I was looking for in particular while I was there was Lynn Painter. So I have read a book by her in the past. I've read The Love Wager, and I feel like she's sort of becoming popular again. And I don't know if she's releasing some new books or what, but I feel like a lot of people have been reading from Lynn Painter again. And I absolutely devoured The Love Wager. I really enjoyed it, and then just like never really picked up any more of her books. So I was really hoping when I'd gone that they'd have some of her books there, and I did manage to get a hold of Mr. Wrong Number. This is actually the book that comes before The Love Wager, and I don't know why I've not picked it up yet, but they had this while I was there, so I thought I'd definitely give this one a go. I'm really excited to give this one a go. Like I say, I really enjoyed the love wager anyway, so I do think I'll enjoy this one as well. It sounds like a lot of fun. So she gets this like message from a random number just saying like, what are you wearing, and they basically end up sort of like sexting even though she has no idea who this person is, and I just think that's so much fun. So again, it's not necessarily written forms of communication, but we've got these text messages back and forth and this sort of like mysterious hidden identity, and I just think it sounds like so much fun, and I really can't wait to pick this one up. I'm in such a romance mood at the minute. I really do just want like the sort of kick your feet type romances. That's all I want to read at the moment, so I'm really excited to jump into this one. I realise I'm not giving you all the prices for these, but again, this one was around a tenner, so again £3. Most of these books were like £10 or £11 retail price, so you're paying like £3 and just over for them. The next book I picked up was Check and Chase by Ali Hazelwood. I've heard the most amazing things about this one. I've got a good collection of Ali Hazelwood books, but I've only actually read two books by this author, Bride, and I've read The Love Hypothesis, and I definitely want to jump into some more of her writing because I feel like she's one of those authors that I didn't expect to like as much as I do. Like I really enjoyed The Love Hypothesis. I thought that was such a fun sort of like setup and stuff, so I really want to read some more by this author. So when I saw this one there, I was like, you know what, let's just add to my Ali Hazelwood collection. So here we have Check and Chase. So this is a chess sort of based one. I don't know a lot about it. I feel like this did the rounds a couple of years back and everyone going crazy for it. I just want to give it a go. I just want to see what the fuss was about. So this is our next one. Again, £9.99, so around £3 for it. I next have a few from authors that I've heard about but have never read from. So I picked up The Rom-Commers by Catherine Centre. I've heard so many like people obsessing over Catherine Centre's books, and I figured that I'd just like see what all the fuss was about. So I'm really looking forward to jumping into this one. This one sounds like a lot of fun. She gets like the opportunity to work on it or to like rewrite a screenplay with like one of her idols, and I just think that's going to be so interesting. So I do think we've got sort of like this idol situation, but it turns out he's actually a massive arsehole. He's her idol, but then we've got this enemies to lovers sort of situation, and I just think it's going to be so much fun. Like I said, Catherine Centre is an author that I've heard a hell of a lot about, so I'm really intrigued to see if I sort of click with her writing style. Same goes for Lana Ferguson, again another author that I've heard the most amazing things about, and they had a big collection of her books, so I just chose two that sort of appealed to me the most. So I went for The Game Changer, and I've also gone for Overruled. So we've got sort of like an ice hockey romance situation, and then we've got sort of like a lawyer situation, which I think will be really interesting. This one is all about like divorce, like top divorce lawyers and stuff, and then like I said, we've also just got an ice hockey romance. I love ice hockey romance. I'm a sucker for a sport romance, so I'm definitely looking forward to giving these ones a go. They were both £9.99, so you're paying about £3 for them, so I figured this would be a good time to give this author a go. I'm really excited. I think these are going to be a bit of me. Two more to go. So I also picked up If Not For My Baby by Kate Golden. I have a few books by this author now. I've got the Sacred Stones trilogy by this author, and I've also got Half Sea, which was one of my fairy loots. So now I've also got one of her romance ones. I didn't realise that she also wrote romance. I don't know if this was sort of like her first and only romance or if she's just strictly romantic. I'm not entirely sure, but this is sort of like a rock star romance, which I think is going to be so good. She gets like the opportunity to be a backing singer for him, and like she doesn't really want to do it, but the pay that they're offering is insane. I think it's just going to be so cool to go on tour with these people and to like live that sort of lifestyle through this book. I really think this one's going to be fun. I have seen mixed things about this, but the bad bits I've seen are things that don't really bother me, so I do think I'll enjoy it, and I do want to give it a go. I also just love the art on this. It's not just a really pretty book, I think it's stunning, and it's also got recommendations from Ali Hazelwood on the front, and I like Ali Hazelwood, so I feel like I'd like this. So one that I'm really looking forward to. Again, about a tenner, so I paid about £3 for it. And the last book I picked up was Burning Daylight by Emily McIntyre. I have read from Emily McIntyre before. I've read the first book, is it Hooked, in the Never After novels that she wrote, but this is sort of like a romancy one. I don't know if it's supposed to be a bit of a Romeo and Juliet retelling. I mean, we've got Juliet and Roman, so I feel like we could be on that sort of line. It sounds like we've got this sort of dark and mysterious male main character, and then we've got this sort of like sunshine female main character, and maybe a bit of like a mafia sort of setting as well. I think, I don't know if she's part of like, if she's like one of the mafia boss's daughters and he's part of the mafia. I'm not entirely sure, but I do think I'll enjoy this one. I really like a mafia romance anyway, so this one does sound like a bit of me. I'm a sucker for a mafia romance anyway, so I do think I will enjoy this. I didn't love Hooked when I read it, but equally I audioed it and I weren't really clicking with the narrators, so I don't know if it was just that. I'm hoping to try one of her mafia romances and enjoy that a lot more. So that was my haul. Just to sort of talk about the books that I didn't pick up that they had there. They had a big collection of these sort of like classics, and they were stunning. Some of them had like the sprayed edges. Emma did pick up a few of those, and they were really, really nice. They had a lot of thriller books that I don't really read much of anymore, but they have some like Riley Sager. They had a lot of Harlan Coben. They had some James Patterson on there as well, which is the sort of stuff I used to love and read all the time. I've read a lot of James Patterson books, I loved them. And then they also had like Jessica Peterson for some country romance. They had like the Pucking Wrong Number, that series, can't remember what that's called. I nearly picked those up but then decided against it in the end. They've got a lot of kids books as well. They had all the, I can't remember what they were called, but when I was younger I used to read a lot of those like fairy books, and they all had like different powers and different animals, and they'd got a load of those, and there's obviously been a lot more written since I read those when I was like 6, and it was just so nostalgic. I was literally sat looking at them like, oh my god, I used to read these all the time. They were making me really happy. So yeah. They're the 14 books I purchased. I honestly had a great day. I definitely recommend the journey, especially if it's a long one. Just plan ahead, get there early, or stay in the hotel the night before. I found a hotel nearby that was only about £8, which obviously is still quite a chunk of money, but it saves doing the drive there and back the same day and getting up any earlier than like 7. I definitely recommend it. I think it's such a fun sort of like day out as well. I only go once a year. Like I said, they still had a lot of the books that I got last year this year, so they don't change the stock up that much, but there's definitely a lot that you can still get that's different. That's my haul. I am really happy with the books I bought. I am so excited to jump into them as well. We will be pulling my June TBR in the next couple of days, and I'm like, maybe we can include a few of these on there, because this just, it's a good little setup and I'm really intrigued. So that's everything for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, my social media, my Amazon, my Goodreads and my business email are all in the description bar below. I really hope you guys are well. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.